Hello everyone. I've come to the cemetery on the outskirts of the village of Kinderhook to talk about Phyllis Wheatley's On the Death of a Young Lady of 5 years of Age. And I've come to the gravestone of a young, I think, woman. It's so worn out that it's hard to say. I can't see the name, but I believe I can see down here, died age 3 months and 8 days. For sure it is the gravestone of a child because you see a lamb on top of it. Very, very worn lamb, but very clearly a lamb. And I encourage you all to spend time in cemeteries, to think about people. We're going to talk more about people spending time in cemeteries later in the semester, but it's a very healthy thing to do, to walk around a cemetery and to read the names. And whenever you see a lamb, you know it's the grave of a child. And childhood mortality in the 18th century, the 1700s, and 19th century for that matter, was very, very high. When you look at a census from that time period, the number of children in a town was unbelievable. There might be 350 kids in a town of a couple thousand people. So that's all the other ages. There's maybe 1,650, and kids under 5, there's like 350. But a lot of them did not live to see certainly even young adulthood. And there are still many parts of the world, especially in Africa, where from age birth to 5, life is very, very delicate, to say the least. We still have child mortality in America, despite our great health care, but it's rare. Horrific when it happens, but it's rare. But it was very, very common experience, almost a universal experience in 18th century and early 19th century America. So Phyllis Wheatley's poem here would have had a very, very broad, I think, broad appeal. She was talking about really a near universal experience. If someone hadn't lost a child from ages 0 to 5, they certainly knew someone who did, and very likely they were at least related to someone who did. From dark abodes to fair, ethereal light, the enraptured innocent has winged her flight. On the kind bosom of eternal love, she finds unknown beatitude above. So the child has died and gone to heaven. This know, ye parents, nor her loss deplore. So don't deplore the loss of your child. Don't hate it. She feels the iron hand of pain no more. Now that's a very common thing upon someone's death, to say, especially if they were in pain, that they're at least no longer in pain. I think Phyllis Wheatley's pain here is maybe a little more metaphorical. The dispensations of unerring grace should turn your sorrows into grateful praise. So the fact that the child has gone from an earthly life to the grace of heaven should turn your sorrows into grateful praise. Let no tears for her henceforward flow. Quit crying. No more distressed in our dark vale below. Her morning sun, which rose divinely bright, was quickly mantled with the gloom of night. She went from being born into light to the gloom of night. But here in heaven's blessed bowers your Nancy fair, and learn to imitate her language there. Okay, so don't be so upset your child died. The child, in this case is she, has gone to heaven. Thou, Lord, whom I behold with glory crowned, by sweet name and in what tuneful sound, wilt thou be praised? Seraphic powers are faint, angels, infinite love and majesty to paint. To thee let all their grateful voices raise, and saints and angels join their songs of praise. Perfect in bliss, she from her heavenly home up in heaven looks down and smiling beckons you, parents, to come. Why then, fond parents, why those fruitless groans? Restrain your tears and cease your plaintive moans. So your child is in heaven beckoning you to come. Freed from a world of sin and snares and pain, why would you wish your daughter back again? No, bow resigned, let hope your grief control. So let hope control your grief and check the rising tumult of the soul. So don't wish her back. Don't cry about it, or at least stop crying about it. She is in heaven. Calm in the prosperous of adverse day. And this is Phyllis Wheatley talking to the parents who have lost a child. Adore the God who gives and takes away. I him in all his holy name revere. Upright your actions. Behave yourselves. Upright your actions. Behave yourselves. And your hearts sincere, till having sailed through life's tempestuous sea, when you get through all the troubles of life, and from its rocks and boisterous billows free, yourselves safe landed on the blissful shore, shall join your happy babe in heaven to part no more. So the last stanza there, Wheatley is saying, as you go through the storms of life, weather them, be good as God would want you to be, and you will join your Nancy, your girl, in heaven for eternity. So what does this poem tell us again about Phyllis Wheatley? But again, more importantly, we're going to talk more about this with some future poems that we're going to look at. What does this say not only about the poet, but about the people of the time who were reading it, right? Because it was poetry, particularly a little after this, was a very popular medium. Very, very popular. Not quite like today. So, it tells us that people were very religious, that Wheatley knew that this would appeal to people. It would comfort them to know that their child was in heaven, in a better place, as we might say. And that if this person behaves, the parents will join her there. It might not take long. Life expectancy when Wheatley was writing this poem in America was maybe between 40 and 50. And that's if you made it to age 20. So if a 20-year-old parent had a child die, and this child is 5 in the poem, they're maybe 23, 24 years old, it wouldn't be long before they would be joining the child in heaven if they behaved, according to Phyllis Wheatley. So we're going to later in the semester contrast and compare this poem to one, Death of an Infant, I think is the name of it, by Lydia Howard Huntley Sigourney. And that is very different. And I think that poem is going to show us America is maybe becoming a little less religious. But this poem is obviously a full-on embrace of the Christian idea that the child, the innocent child, the Lamb of God, will go to heaven, and if the parents behave themselves, they will join the child as well. When I read this poem here in 2020, I take it as a little bold. If you interpret it as, quit your crying, she's in a better place. I can understand the comfort, and I believe Wheatley's sincerity, but I find it a little maybe overboard to say, quit crying, get over it. I think she's maybe comes out a little too strong. But hey, I'm reading this 150 years or so after it was written, and again, I don't question Wheatley's sincerity, and I don't question that this poem would have brought a lot of comfort to some people, like the parents of this person who lost him or her. I think it's hard, I don't know, it might say William, I don't know, him or her, after only 3 months and 8 days, something that was very, very common right up until really almost the 1940s, when antibiotics came in. So life expectancy has been increasing in America. It's gone down recently because of suicide, drug overdose, and obesity, but hopefully we'll be reversing that trend and getting life expectancy back up. So there's a cheerful note to end this poem on.